Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. So Shakur Stevenson retains his WBC World Lightweight title with a 12-round unanimous decision win over William Zepeda. Let's talk about it. Now, one thing I will not dispute whatsoever is that Shakur Stevenson deserved to win this fight. I had him winning. I think a reasonable scorecard would be 116, 112, something like that. The judges, on the other hand, had absolutely ridiculous scorecards which did not at all reflect the action in the bout, nor did it reflect the CompuBox numbers. So two judges had it 118, 110 for Stevenson, and the third judge had it 119, 109, which is absolutely wild. That means he only gave William Zepeda one round in the whole fight. According to CompuBox, Zepeda outlanded Stevenson in 5 of the 12 rounds. If you're outlanding a guy in 5 of the 12 rounds, how on earth do you end up being given just one round on the judges' scorecards? Ridiculous. It's as if the scorecards were compiled before the fight even started. Absolutely outrageous scores from the judges. If you hadn't watched the fight, or if maybe you'd just seen the highlights and you looked at these scorecards, you might get the impression that it was not a competitive fight. Nothing could be further from the truth. This was a highly competitive fight. In fact, it was by far and away the hardest fight of Shakur Stevenson's professional career, without a shadow of a doubt. And I do not buy this narrative that Stevenson chose to box in a more fan-friendly style in order to appease Turkey al-Sheikh and what have you. No. I was saying before the fight even started on my live stream that I don't see how Stevenson's going to be able to box his normal fight, moving around the ring, barely throwing any punches. I just don't see how he's going to be able to do that with a guy like Zepeda, who's so high volume. He forces you to throw more punches than you're accustomed to. You have no choice. It's either that or get steamrolled. So Stevenson was forced to throw a lot more punches than he's used to. Throwing punches uses energy, folks. Energy which he would normally use moving around the ring. Instead, he had to do less moving, more punching, because it's more energy efficient against that particular style in William Zepeda. The first half of this fight was actually borderline hellish for Shakur Stevenson. He was pinned on the ropes on multiple occasions. He was riddled with body shots. He was rocked on at least one occasion. He was getting hit consistently with the Zepeda jab to head and body. The people who think that the judges' scorecards are somehow reasonable are obviously individuals who are either massive Stevenson fans or, if they're not massive Stevenson fans, for whatever reason, they were hyper-focusing on the punches that Stevenson was landing and therefore were blind to all the shots that Zepeda was landing. Go back and watch the fight. Turkey al-Sheikh has uploaded it to YouTube on the Ring Magazine's channel. And actually make an effort to notice what Zepeda is doing, particularly in the first half of the fight, the shots he's landing. And then you'll realize that there is just no way that this is a 118, 110 fight. Never mind a 119, 109 fight. Shocking. Stevenson was put through the ringer here by William Zepeda. He was forced to throw shots, and it was good to see, because normally Shakur Stevenson fights are horrendously boring. This one was not, because he had the right dance partner in Zepeda. So Zepeda did well through the first half of the fight, won several rounds. I'm not saying he won all the rounds in the first half of the fight at all, but he won several rounds. But around the 5th or the 6th, Stevenson managed to take control of the contest. It was noticeable. Zepeda's punch output dropped right off. He started to unload more so in spurts rather than being consistent with his work rate as he was earlier on in the fight. And that allowed Shakur Stevenson to take over, basically. Stevenson wants a relatively slow pace, because when the pace is too high, he can't keep up with everything you're doing. He can't counter all the punches you're throwing, but when your work rate drops, he can counter most of your punches. So, as I say, it dropped off. Stevenson started taking control. I liked his right hook, which was a consistent punch throughout the fight. His uppercut was also good. He was digging to the body himself at times, although Zepeda outlanded him in terms of body shots by quite a wide margin. I think he more than doubled Shakur Stevenson in body shots. But overall, according to CompuBox, Stevenson did land more punches in total, 295 to 272. So that's a 23 punch advantage for Shakur Stevenson over the course of 12 rounds, which is not a massive difference, but it's there. And there's some interesting info here on CompuBox about Stevenson and Zepeda's punch output in previous fights. It says, Zepeda came into this fight averaging 94 punches thrown and 31 punches landed per round over his last 11 fights. Against Stevenson, Zepeda averaged 82 and 23. Shakur's previous 11 opponents landed just 5.4 punches per round. It looked like Zepeda was going to match his previous output after he threw 103 punches in back-to-back rounds in the second and third. Stevenson spent less time fighting off the ropes after the third round and was able to average more landed punches per round, 25, while averaging 47 punches thrown. Stevenson connected on 56% of his power punches and landed 56 more than Zepeda. Both fighters were hit with a career high for total punches. So there you have it. Stevenson was hit with more shots in this fight than any other fight in his whole career. It was the toughest fight of his career. But as I said at the start, it was one which he deserved to win. Again, 116, 112 would be reasonable. Stevenson certainly landed a lot more eye-catching headshots throughout the bout. Zepeda landed a few, but it was mainly early in the fight. There was a couple later on in the fight, but mainly concentrated in the first half. But Stevenson was landing eye-catching headshots throughout. And as the pace slowed, those eye-catching headshots became more of a feature because there was less activity from both men in the latter rounds. When Stevenson would land a big shot that would send the spray flying and knock Zepeda's head sideways, you remembered it a lot easier, right? Because the action was a lot less frenetic. It was a lot less chaotic. So you remembered those moments. Anyway, overall, I'd say it was a decent performance by Stevenson against an opponent who really pushed him. But I will reiterate what I said in the lead up to this fight and what I've been saying for the past, whatever it is, 6 months, which is that, in my opinion, Floyd Schofield gives Shakur Stevenson all he can handle right now. Never mind in 2, 3, 4 years' time. Who wants to go in against an old, quote-unquote, over-the-hill Shakur Stevenson and try to get a win? You get maximum credit when you beat him at his best. Since when did boxing fans become so risk-averse? Stevenson isn't some type of devastating knockout puncher who you should be afraid to put a young contender in with. Floyd Schofield had over 200 amateur bouts. He's not as green as you think. Stop focusing so much on his age. He's 19-0 with 13 KOs. And I think given his style, given his athleticism, he's far more athletic than William Zepeda. Trust me. Given the fact that he's unconventional. When a fighter's unconventional, it can make them more difficult to read. Given all these things, I think he gives Stevenson all he can handle. I'm not saying he necessarily beats Stevenson, but I give him a decent chance. A better chance than I gave Zepeda, because I did expect Shakur Stevenson to win that fight. Now, Stevenson called out Tank Davis after his win over Zepeda, which is the thing to do, right? We want to see that fight. But Tank Davis is a monumental diva, so you can't put your career on hold waiting for that joker to fight you. You just can't. You got to do your own thing. Let Tank Davis drift off into obscurity if he's not willing to fight. And so if you can't get Tank Davis, I like the Floyd Schofield fight. Now, right now, it may not make sense, quote unquote, for Shakur Stevenson because Schofield doesn't have a belt. Stevenson's looking to maybe unify, legacy fights and so on. Give me your thoughts in the comment section below on Shakur Stevenson's win over William Zepeda, the scorecards, and also my insistence that Floyd Schofield gives him a run for his money right now. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you all for watching. And before I go, make sure you check out the Usyk Dubois film study, which I just uploaded on my Patreon page a couple of days ago. I go through actual footage of the fight and break down the technical aspects of both fighters pertaining to their rematch. The video's over an hour long, and you can access it along with my entire back catalog of exclusive boxing content on the boxing tier, the Boxing Brotherhood. So make sure you check that out. All the links are in the description box below, and full details are explained in the following trailer. If you want to access this video along with hundreds of hours worth of other exclusive boxing content, as well as our members chat, just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called the Boxing Brotherhood. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.